Good morning, doctor and everyone. We are from Group B. Today we gonna to present our own moral judgment for team sexual harassment. Our group contains 5 members for present this assignment today, which include me, YASMIN, KHALIFA, GUSTODAIRY, KUSUMA, no YASMIN, no NURFAHANA, and no AISYAH. Hi, good morning, doctor. I'm YASMIN and my meeting number is 291820. I'm the first to present my own judgment today. Let's look at the issue 1. Issue 1 states that employees who wear the sexy clothing to work to be blamed should they become targets of sexual harassment in the workplace. For me, I am personally against this statement issue above. It is because everyone have the right to wear any clothes as long as the clothes able to cover the private body part. No person has the right to become a harasser due to any reason. Therefore, I establish a decision-making flow and comes out with my own moral standard, which is everyone have the right, respectful environment, and free from harassment, bullying, and discrimination in workplace. To support my judgment, I provide a factual information which is based on Convention number 119 in International Labour Organization (ILO). Emphasize that no one should experience harassment regardless of attire. It means that people who wear sexy attire is not a reason for harassers make unwelcome action for victims. Many countries have ratified this convention, such as Andorra, Italy, Romania, even include Malaysia, ratified this convention. Therefore, I want to emphasize again, wearing sexy clothing to work should not be blamed and become the target of sexual harassment. In this issue, I realize that one of the moral theories is suitable to support my perspective, which is deontology theory. This theory emphasizes an individual action, which is right or wrong, based on moral rules, not outcome. Deontology believes in universal moral rules. Therefore, sexual harassment is one of the actions that break the rules. Harassment is always wrong, regardless what type of harassment, because it is not respecting a person and evading a person's human rights, which break the fundamental moral responsibility. Let's move on to issue 2. Issue 2 is asked that is this finding meant for using women-only coach is unfair to male passengers? I am agree with the statement issue above personally. I established a decision-making flow for discuss this issue. I comes out a moral standard which is punishment should be applied when someone knowingly break the rules. However, based on the KTMB research in 2023, from 551 respondents, there are only 50% respondents in average 28.5 years old are aware the function of women-only courses. It is because not all the states in Malaysia, such as Terengganu, Sabah, and Sarawak, or even other countries have the rail service or rail transport coverage. Basically, male passengers who live in the rural area and remote area might unaware the information of punishment for wrong entering women-only course due to the poor internet connection and communication. Therefore, I think that it is unfair for male passengers who are the first time for using public transport and enter the women-only course wrongly in unaware condition for the function of women-only courses. One of the moral theory to discuss this issue is the utilitarian theory. From a utilitarian view, action should be aimed to benefit the most people. Even women-only course help to protect the woman from harassment and make a woman feel safe. However, finding men without considering the situation might be not fair for or bring disadvantages sometimes. A better solution to prevent this issue is to provide the clear signs, educate the passenger first, and give the warning before issuing the fines. By this way, the policy can protect the woman while avoiding unfair treatment of men who may enter by mistake.
Good day, doctor. My name is NAZIAH AFIQAH BINTI YASIN with menstrual number 291737. So, for the first statement, whether women should be blamed for wearing sexy clothing at the workplace when they become the target of sexual harassment. I personally against this statement, as blaming a woman for wearing sexy clothing will only shift the responsibility away from the harasser, which will create a toxic workplace that condones to such behavior. The harasser behavior, disregard toward decency, lack of boundaries and respect are what lead to sexual harassment, not the victim's choices, appearances or attire. Moreover, blaming the victim will only prove that men are the one who cannot control their sexual desire, which is not victim's fault. So the standard here is that the harasser should be the one that bear the full responsibility, not the victim. Here is the factual information that I have chosen to support my stance. So according to Section 2 of Employment Act 1955, sexual harassment is defined as any undesired sexual behavior that is directed towards another person, whether it is verbal, gestural or physical, and is deemed offensive and endangering their well-being at the work. So this clause does not excuse or lessen the harasser misconduct. However, it rather emphasizes that sexual harassment is what deemed offensive by the other person, which is the victim. So this suggests that sexual offenders are the one to bear the full responsibility, not the victims. Secondly, the Code of Practice on the Prevention and Eradication of Sexual Harassment also highlight that the act, that the recipient's perception towards the act decides whether the conduct is sexually offensive or not. So this clause also suggests that the misconduct is not justified by the victim's attire. It's not justified or blamed by the victim's attire. So the moral theory that I've chosen to support my stance is virtue ethics theory. So virtue ethics theory, which originated from Aristotle, hold that there are some values that we should aim for, such as excellence and commitments towards the good, which enable us to fully develop humanity. Virtue include things such as honesty, responsibility, and integrity. In this issue, it shows lack of virtue, especially respect and accountability, to blame the victims based on what they are wearing. Virtue of ethics encourage development of workplace where everyone behave honorably instead of harassing each other. So a virtuous person should focus on their own behavior instead of blaming other for the misconduct done. In conclusion, women should not be blamed for wearing sexy clothing at the workplace when they become target of sexual harassment, as this will shift the responsibility away from the harasser. Alright, so for the second statement, it's finding men for using female-only coaches is unfair. I personally support finding men for using female-only coaches. This is because female-only coach was initially introduced to provide women passengers a safe travel space and to reduce the danger of sexual harassment. In April 2010, the commuter rail operator KTM introduced commuter suburban train, which included women-only coach. Coach for ladies only was written on a huge pink stickers, which was placed on the inside and outside of the train. So there should be no reason for male passengers to use this coach, as an obvious sign was already placed. Letting men to use female-only coach will oppose the purpose of creating it and increase the risk of sexual harassment to occur again. So finding punishment guarantees adherence to these regulations and act as deterrent. So it is important to strictly fining the men for using female-only coaches, as it will reduce the likelihood of sexual harassment and unwanted attention. Here is the factual information I choose to support my moral judgment. According to the lawyer Kokilavani, the implementation of finding men for using female-only coaches will reinforce the purpose of creating this coach, which is to provide a woman's sense of safety and security while traveling. According to her too, finding men for using female-only coaches will reduce the chances of sexual harassment to occur in public transportation. Moreover, the implementation of female-only coaches has proven to reduce the cases of sexual harassment significantly. For example, according to the Transport Minister Anthony Loke, 8 cases of sexual harassment was received in the first quarter of 2023, 11 cases of sexual harassment was received in the second quarter of 2023, and it has reduced significantly to 3 cases only after the implementation of women-only coach in September and 2023. The moral theory that I choose to support my moral judgment in this issue is the deontology theory. Deontology theory emphasizes that every people need to respect the right of others and follow the law. Deontology theory also argue that the duty to obey the law is important to avoid unpredictable conduct, failure of coordination, and risk or conflict. So in this issue, it is the moral obligation of male passengers to abide the regulation of female-only coach, which is designed specifically for female passengers. So entering female coach on purpose will be against the moral obligation of male passengers to respect the comfort and safety of female passengers. So adherence to this moral obligation will be strengthened by imposing fine towards men that use female-only coach. So in conclusion, I believe that fining men for using female-only coaches is the right decision, as it will maintain the purpose of creating this coach, which is to provide the female passengers a safe and comfortable travel environment.
Hello everyone, my name is NURFAHANA and my matrix number 296362. Today, I will be addressing two thought-provoking issues. First, whether employees who wear provocative clothing are to blame if they become targets of sexual harassment at work. And second, whether it is fair to fine men for using women-only coaches. So let's dive in. Let's start with the first issue. Are employees who wear sexy clothing at work to be blamed if they experience sexual harassment? The answer is an emphatic no. Here is why. Legally, under Malaysia's Employment Act 1955, Section 81A to 81G, place the focus on the harasser behavior rather than the victim's clothing. Similarly, the Code of Practice on Sexual Harassment defines harassment as any unwelcome conduct with an erotic component, regardless of what the victim is wearing. Ethically, victim blaming undermines the principle of respect and dignity in the workplace. Clothing is not an invitation or justification for harassment. In fact, evidence shows that harassment happens even when individuals are conservatively dressed, proving it's about the harassing intent, not the victim attire. Organizational responsibility. With the Employment Amendment Act 2022, companies are required to prevent sexual harassment through clear policy, training, and awareness programs. This ensures that employees are protected and perpetrators are held accountable. In conclusion, clothing should never shift the blame away from the harasser. It's a matter of legal compliance and ethical responsibility to ensure a safe, respectful working environment for all. Now, let's talk about the second issue. Is it unfair to fine men for using women-only coaches? The answer here is no, and here is why. Purpose of women-only coaches. These coaches are designed to provide a safe space for women, protecting them from harassment during their commute. This is a proactive step to address societal issues, not to discriminate against men. Legal and ethical support. Policies like the Sexual Offence Act 2017 and the Code of Practice on Sexual Harassment back this initiative, emphasizing the need for public safety measures. Fines ensure compliance and preserve the integrity of the system. Fairness. This regulation don't bar men from public transport but only restrict them from using certain space. Any inconvenience caused is minimal compared to the significant benefits in terms of safety and peace of mind for women and children. In conclusion, fining men for violating this rule is fair and necessary to maintain the safety and vulnerable groups in society. From both these issues, remind us of the importance of fostering respect, safety, and accountability in our society. Whether it's addressing sexual harassment in the workplace or protecting women in public space, the focus must always be on creating fair, ethical, and inclusive environments. Thank you for your time, and let's work together to champion these values in our community.
Hello doctor, I'm NURFAHANA HASSIM and my metric number is 295019. I'll present my moral judgment on whether employees who wear plain clothing should be blamed if they become targets of sexual harassment in the workplace. I strongly disagree that employees who wear plain clothes should be blamed for being targets of sexual harassment. Blaming victims takes focus away from the real problem, which is the perpetrator's action. In Malaysia, laws like the Employment Act of 1955 and the Occupational Safety and Health Act 1994 protect employees from harassment. The Anti-Sexual Harassment Bill 2022 also ensures victims can seek justice. Globally, United Nations Women highlights that harassment is caused by power dynamic, not how someone dresses. As Fazia Salis pointed out, even children, elderly, or even animals people are victims. Proving clothing is irrelevant. Ethically, deontological ethics says everyone has a right to a safe workplace, and it's wrong to blame victims because perpetrators are responsible for their actions. According to Kantian ethics, moral responsibility lies with the offender, not the victim. Studies show harassment happens regardless of how clothing, so blaming attire is unjustified. Therefore, blaming victims for what they wear is unfair and harmful. We should focus on holding offenders accountable and promoting a safe, respectful workspace. I will now discuss my moral judgment on whether it is fair to fine men for using women-only coaches. I believe fining men who enter women-only coaches is fair and necessary. This rule protects women's safety and comfort in public transports. Women-only coaches were introduced because of rising harassment issues under Section 1 to 4 of the Land Public Transport Act 2010. The government can enforce rules to protect public safety. Transport Minister Anthony Locke says laws are being developed to fine violators, and operators like KTMB and MRT are improving monitoring. According to social contract theory, laws exist to protect everyone's rights, and men must respect spaces made for women's safety. Utilitarianism supports these rules because it benefits the majority by reducing harassment even if it causes small inconvenience to men. Lastly, deontological ethics says breaking the rules is unethical because it disrespects mutual means to protect vulnerable groups. So, in conclusion, fining men for using women-only coaches is fair and necessary. It promotes safety, accountability, and respect for women's spaces.
Issue 1. Should employees wear sexy clothing be blamed for sexual harassment? So, the idea of employees wearing sexy clothing being responsible for sexual harassment is flawed and morally indefensible. Harassment stems from systemic power imbalances and cultural norms, not personal appearance. Victim blaming perpetuates fear and silence, discouraging reporting and hindering organizational efforts. Harassment-tolerant workplaces experience lower productivity, higher turnover, and damaged reputations. Legally, sexual harassment is unacceptable with laws like Title III of the Civil Rights Act prohibiting it. Ethical frameworks demand treating all employees with dignity and fairness, aligning with global standards promoting gender equity and workplace safety. Last one is the eliminating harassment requires systemic change, including fostering inclusive cultures, addressing unconscious bias, and implementing proactive training programs. Issue 2. Fining men for using women-only coaches. Women-only coaches provide safe spaces for women, deterring misconduct and providing immediate safety. Fines for men entering these spaces must be implemented carefully to avoid misuse or unfair penalties. Fairness of fines depends on proper enforcement with clear signage, public education campaigns, and fair warning systems needed. Ethical concerns arise about the potential alienation of men who feel unjustly punished. Policymakers must ensure proportionate and transparent application of these measures to maintain public trust. A balanced approach includes awareness campaigns, clear rules, and alternative solutions for men. Mechanism for reviewing contested fine can prevent undue hardships on individuals.
That's all of our presentation today. Thank you for your patience and have a nice day.